All right, guys, today we are starting a new journey. We're going to learn a new skill, and this is going to up our quality level as far as what we can offer for these old bikes. Now, obviously, we have the CBX restoration underway, and I have mentioned in the past that we need to plate a bunch of stuff. So here on the table, we have our Caswell zinc plating kit. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through exactly what we have, and then Seth and I will talk about our game plan going forward, what we're going to need to do to set up for everything and whatnot. So this is gonna be a fun little journey, but I hope we're gonna have some cool results, and again, it will up our capability. All right, so of course, we're deep in the CBX restoration, and to start putting stuff back together, we need to have nice shiny bolts and pieces. And I have two containers here, so whether it be yellow chromate or black or regular bright zinc, we need to have the capability to do all of these. So there's not a lot of places that offer a black chromate, which is tricky. So this kit allows us to do all of that. Okay, on the table, this is the zinc plating or the copycat kit that I ordered. So I'm not sponsored by Caswell, I've used their stuff, but this has been intriguing. So here we have a power supply. This is kind of a smaller one because we're gonna be doing smaller parts. Kit comes with 2 buckets. We're gonna have to get probably what, like 4 more?
At least 14.
Yeah, a lot of buckets. So we have the actual zinc anodes right here. Comes with a little pump. So zinc brightener. Here's our yellow chromate right here. We have our black chromate. And then this is the main zinc. So yeah, I also ordered 4 Scotch-Brite pads for the buffing wheels. So surface prep is good. Surface prep is gonna be everything on here. So we will be trying to experiment with exactly how bright or how nice we want to make the part beforehand before we plate it. Some stuff doesn't need to be a mirror finish, while some stuff might need to. So that's going to be all in the experimentation. So now let's go up back and kind of talk about where we're going to set up. So we're planning on getting it set up back here. And I've had this table for a little while, and I had originally imagined this thing as a plating station. So we're going to clean this thing off and turn this into our work area. So we're gonna end up having to cut it up a little bit. We'll cut some holes and like recess buckets into it. We'll get a power strip hooked up to it, and it's gonna be awesome. So what are some other things that we're gonna have to go get?
Well, obviously we have the basis of the bucket and the table, but the solution has to be warmed up to a certain temperature in order for the plating process to take place most efficiently.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be the most difficult aspect of this whole thing. So this is a big area, and it's all of 15 degrees outside. So it's only like 50 in here at the most.
Yeah.
So we are going to struggle the most with thermal control.
Yes.
Thermal sounded really, really good.
That was really sciencey of you.
Yeah.
In order to control said thermal problems, we're looking at some different types of heaters. We're going to go explore some options. But we also need a way to degrease the parts before they go through the plating process, because there can't be any grease or contaminants left on them beforehand. So what was that we were looking at dipping them in?
A crock pot.
A crock pot.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go hit up Goodwill. That was a really good idea.
Yeah.
There's always crock pots at
There's
Goodwill.
always going to be a crock pot at Goodwill.
Yeah, so we're going to go shopping and go get some supplies.
Yeah.
After hitting up a bunch of stores, we were armed and ready to get this set up. We bought 5 buckets, 2 small containers, 1 used crock pot, 1/2-inch copper tube, power strip, 2 spray bottles, 2 sets of goggles, 2 sets of gloves, a respirator, distilled water, baking soda, mixing sticks, 18-gauge copper wire, pH testing strips, and 4 casters. With all of our supplies collected, you can see how much is needed to get this going. The Caswell kit is nice as it gets you more specific items, but you will of course need to get some more basic items before you start plating. All right, so our next step is to flatten the last 1.5 inches of each end. So to do that, a lot of people just use a hammer, but we're gonna use a press. Slight overkill. Flat.
That works.
That's flat. Good job, press. Flat. All right, Seth, give us an update on where we're at with this whole situation.
Currently, we're just doing the setup for all the electrical little bits. Well, we have Croc Pot heating up, and as you can see, we got it right at about 70 degrees, which is honestly perfect for what we're trying to do. So,
Which one's this hooked up to?
do what?
Well, it's 70 degrees ambient.
I forgot. I did not have that sitting in the pot.
I was like, last time we checked, it was like 165.
I meant to say 170, not
Yeah.
70.
You've got the one in there. Anyway.
Yeah. But it was holding temperature perfectly last I checked,
Okay.
which apparently this was a good crock pot. So
Well, it came from Goodwill.
you're right.
So you can see here. So this is actually for a fish tank. I was really worried that they wouldn't go high enough because, I mean, how often do you need your fish to be at 165 degrees? So 172
go.
degrees, perfect.
Right where
So
we need it.
target temperature is like 180, right?
170, 180.
Perfect.
Yeah, right in that range.
Okay. And so this tank is the degreaser solution, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then this tank is going to be what?
That is going to be the danger liquid tank, also known as acid.
Yeah. So we're going to have a little bit of we're going to have some muriatic acid and distilled water in this one. That will be heated up. I'm going to be scared of that one. I don't like messing with muriatic acid. It's nasty.
It's gross, terrible stuff.
And then this one is actually going to be the zinc plating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we have 2 bottles here. We are going to fill these with distilled water. So those are like our rinsing bottles essentially. And then over here, these are going to be, like this one is yellow chromate. There's nothing in it now, but it will be yellow chromate. Same thing, black bucket A, black bucket B for the black chromate. And yeah, so we got a ton of distilled water under here. We've got extra buckets. What else?
Really, we just need to start pouring chemicals and it's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, it took a few days. We were waiting on some, like trying to find the right heater for these buckets has turned out to be pretty difficult. So videos that I've seen online, like Cameron Nimela, like he's made some really fantastic videos on it. So in his videos, he used a 5-gallon bucket setup, and he had an in bucket heater meant to keep, like, you know, feeders and stuff de-iced. And so we went out and bought some of those. They just wouldn't fit in these buckets, and we had already committed to drilling the holes to a specific size, and so we just kind of like abandoned that idea and waited for some regular immersion heaters. So
Which honestly, these are like the perfect size for these smaller buckets that comes with this kit.
height-wise, yeah, I mean, that's like perfect. Not that we're gonna have the liquid up that high, but it's gonna work.
Yeah.
We are getting so fancy. Got our thermometers hung up.
Makes my OCD happy.
Yeah, I mean, our cable management, it's only gonna be able to be so good. We'll put some hooks up or whatever.
I mean, I thought that worked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, that looks good.
Yeah.
Man, this is high class.
We're official.
Now, before we go crazy trying to plate the factory hardware that we need to do some test runs. So here are some of the case bolts that we've been cleaning up. There's a little pink residue, that's just dust. But that is using a combination of wire wheel and then a red Scotch pad. So we're gonna try to plate these first. I'm gonna go ahead and clean these things up. So here is the before. And we'll see how those go.
All right, so currently we are cleaning up the hardware before we plate it. So you can see we got the start of a nice uniform finish is what we're going for. So we're gonna hit it on the wire wheel to get rid of all of the debris or corrosion on the bolt initially, and then after that we'll go over to the Scotch wheel and get as much of the roughness out as we can just to have a smooth finish before we plate it. There we go. That is the first pass with the wire wheel. Turned out pretty good. So we're gonna hit it now with the Scotch pad. And that just leaves a nice shiny finish. Because the thing about plating is that finish that you start with is very important. It has to be uniform and provide a good surface for the plating to adhere to.
These pads are not gonna last long.
No, we just put this pad on and it's already like a quarter of the size it was when we started. We've done like 3 or 4 bolts with it. And we've just finished the last bit of prep on this bolt. How we looking?
Pretty good. Compared to what we started with.
Not too shabby.
That wheel is pretty cool.
All right, time to start making some chemical here. Now, I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad, but I feel like that would have really helped me in this situation. But anyway, this is the degreaser. Our hot tank. We just dump all of this in.
Do we?
That's what you said, right?
I didn't say dump all of it.
1 pound with 2 gallons of distilled water.
So like,
So that's
half.
1 gallon. Okay. Again, I never saw Breaking Bad.
this is a great start, BJ.
All right, audience, is that half?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We literally need like a mixing spoon. Oh wait,
We got
have
the-
those.
that's why we got the-
Yeah. Look at us.
Looks like a super tasty cancer-inducing stew.
Yeah. I need this back though for this weekend. We're having a family event.
Don't want to miss the potluck.
Yeah.
You think Croc Pot would sponsor us?
No. They're like, we do not advertise. We do not advise this usage of our crock pots. Oh, it's like cookies. You lick the spoon.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. This one, I'm still hesitant with. This one, we need to do, let's see, 1.5 gallons. So we do like the whole thing. 13 ounces of this. Looks like a naked juice.
It really does.
It's like the exact same color. How many ounces is this? We're gonna figure it out. Okay. And then Seth says, trust but verify that we're getting 13.
I mean, we bought the graduated cylinder. We might as well use it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel sciencey.
Speaking of science, did you know Bill and I just got married?
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that? It's never too late.
I want to drink this so bad. This is the forbidden
Please don't.
juice. This is 13 for sure. Oh, they
yeah.
shorted us.
How dare they? And that is part A of a 2-part solution for the zinc.
It really looks tasty.
Looks like
I know I
orange
keep
juice.
saying that, but it literally looks like a smoothie or something. So then we put this and then 1.5 gallons of distilled water. I'm gonna go ahead and just add the distilled.
Up to this point, this really hasn't been too terribly complicated, has it?
I'll do 1 gallon now. We'll add this, and then that extra half gallon will help mix it up.
36 ounces of powder.
Which,
Does that translate to fluid ounces?
36 ounces. I mean,
It's probably
if
all
it
of
could just say on the bag how much it is.
Well, generally you measure these things with a scale.
So 36 weight ounces, not fluid ounces. Fluid
Yeah.
ounces, weight ounces.
Because it's a solid, not a
No,
fluid.
we have a scale. Come on. Whoops. So 30, yeah, that's 36.
Trust but verify.
Trust, but verify. All right, class, how many ounces is 2 pounds?
At least 4.
Technically correct. Satisfying. And then we got 1/2 gallon. We can just kind of go for this one. It's not way too complicated. Glug, 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 glug. Whoop.
There's that whole splashing thing they were talking about.
I was squinting, it's okay. It's protected.
To be fair, this isn't the dangerous solution necessarily.
Yeah, this isn't the danger bucket. What say you?
That looks half to me. And it also recommends checking the pH of the solution.
And for that, we have Tetra 5-in-1 easy strips.
Super easy.
Well, it doesn't say super easy, it just says easy strips.
Oh. This might be tough then.
Now, I know we keep joking about PPE and stuff. We did get a dedicated mask with the right kind of filters for like gases and things like that. So we're not complete idiots. We also have the rubber gloves, as we've shown, and the goggles, which I'm not wearing right now. But
Shame him in the comment section.
they already do. All right, this is the zinc brightener. We're gonna add the teeniest of amounts.
Just a tiny bit. Something like
Maybe like 1/2 of that more. Okay,
Oh.
perfect. Perfect.
yeah. Perfectly calibrated.
So just plug the heater in on this bucket as well as the little pump. So it's got some circulation going in there, starting to make some sizzling noises. We're at 37.9 degrees. Okay.
Kind of straight.
So we're gonna make a rinse bucket for the, specifically for the heater we have in here because coating's already gone. I don't know how that could have happened.
Acid? It's safe.
All right, we are getting close. Seth is going to kind of fold these things up. We're gonna get them placed in the tank. We're just topping off the temperature for the tank there. We have our first test piece hanging in the degreaser, so we got just a couple minutes left of this. And then we will etch it, and then we will put it in here, and this time we're gonna plate it like 30 minutes to basically draw out all the potential contaminants from the liquid and stuff, right?
Yes, that's the idea.
Okay. And then we are plating.
Plate time. Something like that.
Something like that.
Do I know what I'm doing? Of course not. Or I'll bend a little fancy handle on there.
I like it. And then we hook those up with a little jumper. And then these are gonna be, let's see, positively charged. And then our piece of copper here is gonna go to the negative. So that's up here. Oh, we're so close. What's that character on SpongeBob, like Barnacle Boy or something like that? Doesn't he have blue gloves?
I think that's Barnacle Boy.
Yeah. Okay, this thing has been in the heater degreasing. From here,
We rinse it.
we rinse it. I've never done this before, right?
And we need to also make sure that there is no beading on the part. Looks pretty good to me.
And then we do 2 to 3 seconds in here. Okay. And now we, am I doing it right? I immerse it here and then we wrap it around.
Yep.
Okay, that's hanging in there. We have the negative connected. So, okay. And then basically we're gonna be messing with our amperage.
Electricity and stuff. Whoa. Or maybe it needs to be connected before you start supplying the power.
Yeah.
Picking up the load all at once.
It's at nothing here. 0.7 amps. How many volts? Oh, it's fizzing. I'm gonna turn this down. It should be less than 2 amps. How do I get the volts up though? After actually reading the power supply instructions, we made some adjustments, ran our cleaning piece, and then started on our first test bolt. Shiny. Uh-oh. Okay, after adding a little bit more brightener, cleaning this up, amperage the same in a few more minutes. Got a freaking shiny ass bolt. Oh, it's so good. Alright, we are doing sciencey stuff. So, we have officially plated one bolt. This is after a tiny bit of polish. I mean, just like barely touching it to the wheel, and it looks amazing. We are super happy with that. You can see the line on the thread. That's where we had the copper wire. So that's something to be aware of. So we have already at least messed one of them up. Mm-hmm. That was me. It's very sensitive to if you touch it even a little bit with the glove after you zinc plate it. It has to be completely dry. So like taking it out of this tank to hang it on there, if you accidentally touch it, it leaves a black smudge. And so we're basically putting it back in the acid. We're gonna try to replate it. So we've got 5 minutes left on our first CBX bolts. Those are looking really good. I'm really excited about it. And overall, I think this is pretty damn neat.
Except we're not pushing amps anymore.
Oh, okay. Here's something we're running into. Our amps dropped to 0. And that is because there's corrosion between the copper wire and the tube. So there you go, 2.5. So that's something we have to be aware of. I guess we could plate that, right?
Yeah, we can plate it, and that'll make it more resistant to corroding, so we don't have to keep cleaning it off every time we plate something.
This is the second time we've had to do it, but you know, this happens really quick. So something to be noted of. Also, on a personal note, I think my late father would have got a kick out of this because his business, a lot of it was based around hot dip galvanizing. The old license plate from his car had hot dip on it. So yeah, he was all about plating hardware and stuff. So I think if he was here, he would be hanging out and thinking this was fun. So
I guarantee it.
yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So this first bolt is for him. On his emails and stuff, it was Bolt Boy and everything. So yeah, it's nuts and bolts, that was his thing. Look at it.
So shiny.
These things look great. Okay, now the part I struggle with is not touching it.
No touchy.
No touchy. Rinse with distilled water. Man, these look good. Brand new 1979 bolts. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and blow these off because I feel on that first bolt where the liquid sat, it actually discolored it. We're not touching it. I literally just touched it.
This is why we can't have nice things. Oh boy, though.
Man, those look good. All right, next batch. You see how it's got yellowness up here?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just where all the liquid's like trying to dry or whatever. All right, we are really doing well here. So here's our first batch. This is our second. I don't know if you can tell on camera, there's like a slightly darker hue, almost maybe yellow. Our third batch, we would call these perfection. Yeah, there's a little hazing right there, that's fine, that'll wipe off. So we are learning with every step. This is our latest batch. This is on par with our third. So these are all at 15 minutes. We are varying them between, let's say, 2.6 and up to 2.9 amps. So the level of brightener does have an effect. It does kind of decrease. Uh-oh.
Yes.
So the zinc brightener, let's say it is consumed with every batch. So that's why I would say this batch has a slightly more yellow hue to it. So this batch, whenever we started doing it, we had finished it and it was almost like dull gray. I poured a little of that brightener in and 2 minutes later it was like this. So we're just trying to stay on top of the brightener. Another thing we've noticed is if they sit maybe a little bit too long in this degreaser solution and not thoroughly rinsed off. So we're also trying not to let them air dry or getting any air exposure. So they sit in the acid tank until they stop bubbling, and then they go in our acid rinse tank. So they're just sitting here ambient, and then they go straight into the actual zinc whenever we're ready. And then they start running for 15 minutes, which that one was not. But yeah, after that we take them out, we rinse them off in the tank, and then we give them a quick air dry to keep stuff from drying on top of them. You might notice on this middle bolt, you can see a little bit of the rough spot. Now that is from the bolt itself, but there's a little ring that extends over top of it. Now that was actually from a little bit of residue where it had dried before we started zinc plating it, and it left residue. So cleanliness is everything with this. But we're learning, we're getting a system down.
Edumacated.
Now, one thing we're experiencing with some of this hardware is all of it typically comes out, you see a little bit of like haziness or chalkiness on there. I think that's just completely normal as we air things off. So we were curious about that. Luckily, with just a little wipe, they come out great. This was one of the worst offenders. It looks perfect. So, no big deal. The heads look great, everything. So, a little bit of polish there. Worst case scenario, if we needed to get a little bit more aggressive, we have the full polishing wheel. So it would take just like a half a second with very, very light pressure in here to make it look perfect again. So shiny. Gonna look good in here. Look at these beautiful bolts. They are looking really good, and this is the ticket. I am so glad that we did this. I was very hesitant at first because this is not a cheap setup. This is probably, let's see, I think the kit was like $500 from Caswell, and it's the 1.5 gallon kit. Now, I did have to buy some other stuff. Obviously, we got that really expensive used Croc Pot for $19.99 at Goodwill. But all the other stuff, I mean, we've got a couple $100 tacked onto this. Now, again, I know that's expensive, but for me, it was all about saving time and taking the guesswork out of getting this set up. So I'm glad I did that route. And we will continue to probably add things to this and make some changes and just kind of improve it to suit our needs. So of course, this video was not a how-to. It was more or less just capturing the journey that Seth and I are on with learning how to plate. Obviously, we've had a couple challenges already, and we're just kind of dialing in our process with like soak times and different chemicals and stuff like that, and just kind of playing around with it. But everything is looking really good so far, so very happy with that. So of course, you guys are going to be seeing the zinc plating process again as I go, but the next video you're going to see on the CBX will be engine assembly, because we're finally starting it. So the engine is here on the table, and I have a lot of like gaskets and seals and all of that stuff on the table. We're cleaning components, and it's gonna start going back together any day now. So yeah, that's gonna be the next one you see on the CBX. I'm not quite sure what format that will be because we're gonna be taking it slow. So it's probably just gonna be like bottom end, and we'll focus on the top end after that. Now, with all that being said, I got a comment on the last video, and it was asking why this bike was taking so long to do. And the answer is because we're doing everything and we're chasing perfection. So I know this is a long process, and you know, I don't want to feel like I'm dragging this out or anything like that. I just like to show everything that I'm doing. And on top of that, we have all of these other bikes in the shop that need attention and need work and all that stuff. And also, in case you didn't know, recording videos slows it down to about 25% of actual productivity. So yeah, the videos do take some time to make, but I'm happy to make them. With all that being said, I hope you guys liked this video. Check some other ones out on the channel, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.